You're gonna sit so your nails don't make noise throughout my whole review? Please? Please? Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I have a review for you on The Last of the Firedrakes. This is written by Farah Oomerbhoy, I believe is how you say her last name. This book was sent to me from BookTube Tours and also from Wise Ink Publishing, so thank you guys both for allowing me to receive this book in order to review it. This book was published last year. It was published August 15th of 2015, and this is the first book in a series, so there will be a sequel coming out. I don't know when yet. I'm trying to find out because I want to read it, but my research is not getting me very far on that. But this one is a young adult fantasy series, and this follows a young girl. Her name is Aurora, and she is kind of just a teenage girl who thinks she's normal, and then come to find out she's actually not very normal at all. So Aurora is a teenage girl who's basically just trying to survive high school at this point. She is adopted. However, both her birth parents and her adopted parents had both passed away, so she is living in the care of her aunt and uncle from her adopted parents, and they don't like her very much. So one day, her aunt and uncle pull her out of school and tell her that they are going on a trip and it can't wait and it's very important. So they pack a bag and they go to this really old castle. Pretty much like a castle is what it's described as, and it's supposed to be the castle of her uncle's employer, and so they were just invited to stay, and so he went and took his family. However, Aurora ends up finding herself being turned over to a guard who is very large and very cruel and does not look like he belongs in this time period. Her uncle hands her over to him. He then takes her through a portal into a completely new world that she didn't even know existed. So Aurora finds herself as a prisoner in this world that is completely new to her. She ends up working with other prisoners that are surrounding her in order to try to break out, because if they're prisoners, they don't want to be there. And that is when Aurora learns her true identity. So Aurora learns that she is actually a princess, and she is the only surviving heir to the throne in this world. Her real parents were the king and queen, and they were brutally killed by the current queen. Her name is Morgana. She killed her parents and her entire family, and supposedly she had killed her too, although obviously she didn't, so that she could take over the throne. And when her mother was killed, she created this portal and sent Aurora through it as a baby to help protect her. So now that Aurora is back in this world, she has to learn about the world. She has to learn how it's run. She has to figure out who she can trust, and she also has to figure out how she can overthrow Morgana and take her rightful place on the throne. So Aurora finds herself being helped by fairies and magicians and a Pegasus and a very handsome and charming prince and a family of hers that she never knew existed. And she's working with all these people and these creatures to figure out what she's capable of and how she's going to overthrow the evil empire to stop this reign of terror, basically, that's happening. So this book was good. I really enjoyed it. I have to use two hands now because it's really heavy, but it's almost 500 pages. My arm's starting to hurt, but I really enjoyed this. The storyline was really good. The pacing was really well done as well. I was interested the whole time. The only downfalls I had, and the reason I gave it 4 stars instead of 5, is I felt like the storyline was a little bit of a cliche. You know, it's a young girl who finds out she's actually a princess and she's the only true heir to this throne, and there's evil people there, and I've just felt like I've read this type of story before. Obviously there's differences, you know, in the stories, but a little cliche-ish, I guess you could say, and it was very, it reminded me of The Key a lot, which I read last month and really, really enjoyed. So I kind of was like, ooh, okay, they're very similar as far as the main storyline, but obviously all the details, you know, in the worlds are different, but so I was trying to kind of get over that. And then the other thing that I did not enjoy about this book was the writing. It was very, very basic, and it was it was descriptive to a certain point, but it could have just been better, I think. And it was very repetitive as well. There's a love interest in here with Aurora, and every time he showed up, she would use the same phrase, and it would be, I didn't even have to turn around to know who it was. And it was just like, I think I heard that. I think I read that line at least 6 times, and I was just like, oh my gosh, use something different. So that was kind of the thing. And there was just a lot of repetitiveness, and that happened a few times, you know, not only with that line, but there were a couple other lines that were just, you know, repeated a lot. And I was like, you know, you didn't even need to put it in there necessarily, or you could have described that in a different way. So that was the only, like, that was my biggest downfall with this book, was the writing. Not to a point where I didn't enjoy it still. I still enjoyed it, but I did find myself rolling my eyes a couple times just because I was like, okay. You know, it gets a little exhausting reading the same thing over and over, even if it's just one line. But other than that, it was good. I did give it 4 stars. I thought this was a really good book for anyone who is new to fantasy, because it wasn't overcomplicated and it was pretty easy to follow. The pacing was really well done. There is kind of a magic system in here that is very interesting, and you know, people have different levels of magic, which is interesting, and there's different creatures. Like I said, there's a Pegasus, and there's fairies and magicians, which are called mages, and there's like combinations of those as well, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I basically enjoyed this, and I definitely want to keep going and get the next book and see where the story is going to continue, because it did leave off on a good cliffhanger. So yeah, I recommend it. I definitely do, especially if you're new to fantasy or you're not, it's not a genre that you read from very much, but you want to. I think this is a really good place to start. So thank you to Grace at Lovington Books and BookTube Tours, and thank you to Wise Ink Press. I had to double check, so I said it in the right order. I keep saying Inkwise, and that's not it. But thank you very much for sending me this book and allowing me to read it and review it. If you guys would like to win a copy of this book, you have a chance down below. I have a link directly down below that you can enter to win a copy of this, and I hope you guys do that. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.